Hi, and welcome to Hoffman's Hot Seat. I'm Tom Hoffman with One-to-One Media, coming to you from the Dreamforces event here in San Francisco. And I'm joined today by Brian Kardon, Chief Marketing Officer at Eloqua. And today, Brian and I will be talking about what's coming on the horizon for social and marketing. Brian, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, it's a little intimidating. You call it Hoffman's Hot Seat, so I feel like I got to look around and the coal and the smoke is coming up here. So
we'll try not to grill you too much.
I can handle anything you have, Tom.
Okay,
I'm cool.
all right.
I'm cool.
Well, we'll see how it goes then. How's that?
I guess we will.
All right. So Brian, what is happening in terms of this melding that's occurring between social and marketing, and what direction is it going in?
Well, I think we've sort of gone through the first generation of, wow, that's really interesting, and people sort of monitoring what's going on with social. The big challenge marketing teams have now is how do you really link people's social behavior to other profile information that people may have in their database. Also, how do you link their social handles, like an @TomHoffman, their Twitter handle, with their email address? So that's sort of the next generation. So it used to be the profile really had two pieces to it: who you are, that is what company you're from, your revenues, where you're located, and then what you do. We have a lot of profiles of what people do on websites, so we track a lot of behavioral things, what pages they go to, do they download the video. So those are two elements of your profile. The third element is, who do you trust? And so much more we're getting into the social profiles and understanding who they influence and who they trust. So the two are getting much closer together now, Tom.
What are some ways that companies can gather that information about trust itself, or gaining customer trust?
Well, there are a couple of ways. We just announced a social suite here at Dreamforce, and one of the things we have is your Clout score, for example. So Clout is a company, K-L-O-U-T, that tracks the influence of people based on a variety of social media behaviors. And so if you want to, for instance, track the most influential people in your market space, you can do campaigns just for the most influential. So there's a way to segment your database based on your Clout score. Something else that's really interesting that marketers are doing is that in addition to finding out about what web pages they go to or what they download, you can actually get their Twitter feeds. So we have something that is actually within the CRM of Salesforce, and it's a tab, an Eloqua tab within Salesforce, where you can actually get the Twitter feeds of people that you're following. So you can know that maybe they're tweeting your competitor, or maybe they're tweeting, hey, anybody get a better price deal in this product? So I think smart organizations now are following much more closely people's social behavior.
Brian, as I'm sure you know, there are still a fair number of marketers that are struggling with how do we get started with this? I mean, which tool set is the right one for us to use, and which approaches should we be using? Can you offer some recommendations on starting points for people as they go down this path?
Sure. Social really has benefits in a couple of different places. The first, for lead generation. So people are actually tweeting about, hey, I'm in the market for a new product. Any ideas? And so you'll see actually lead generation happen. The second area is product complaints, which is very common, customer service, that we sort of see it there. And also people are using social media to sort of test new products. They may have a beta team and so on. So what we recommend as a way to get started is probably you need a social media manager at your company, or someone to really take ownership of it. And it takes a village. It takes a lot of people to really monitor everything. But getting there are lots of good social media monitoring tools at the aggregate level to know whether the sentiment is positive or neutral or negative, if it's swaying certain ways, what are the topics people talking about. Right. But we find with our clients the most value is actually getting to the individual level. So if someone is saying negative things about your products, you probably ought to reach out and talk to them and understand why they're saying those bad things about you. If someone has a complaint, if someone is highly influential, you'd probably be watching those people a lot more closely. It's also, what we found, Tom, is in this world of social media, a lot of people focus on the media and not the social. And so what we found is very often helpful is that you actually pick up the phone and talk to a human being. And so we reach out all the time to people who are very evangelical about products and services that we do, and positive and negative. We try to make a real connection with them and talk to them and try to understand them better.
Okay, great. So, Brian, can you point to any examples of companies that you've worked with that have really effectively applied social for lead generation purposes?
Yeah, I can give you a few examples. Adobe is a great company that's doing that. Adobe is a very large software company, and they're doing it all the time. So they actually are very sophisticated, and they link in people's social handle, their email address, and they develop campaigns, and they add new names to the database. A simple way to do that is if you know someone's social handle, you can actually outsource in LinkedIn or hire an intern or go offshore, and very easily in LinkedIn you get the email address. Not the LinkedIn proprietary email, but an actual email. So it's very easy now. There's probably not software that can make the connection very well. There's a little company called Flowtown that does some of it, of connecting social media handle with your email address. But I think something we saw here at Dreamforce really interesting this morning that Mark Benioff talked about is actually within Salesforce.com, you can actually have multiple addresses, including not just your email address, multiple email addresses, but within the contact have all your social media handles.
Right.
That's really very valuable. The real question, though, is now that I know your social media handle, do I really have the right, Tom, to communicate to you in Twitter directly or in Facebook? I'm not your friend, although, Tom, we could be friends.
Sure.
This is an exception because we are friends. But if you're a big company and you do find someone's Facebook account and you find out their Twitter handle, do you have permission to actually communicate with them? And so it's a really open area right now.
What are the right circumstances for doing so?
Yeah. So a lot of it is really, if you think about human communication, here we are. If you make eye contact with someone, hey, don't I know you? You can start that way. Right. But to just start sending, hey, read my white paper, or have you watched my, great marketing is not about sending the messages, it's about communicating effectively with someone. And so you really want to have a conversation. So if someone says, good morning, you don't say, read my product specs. You say good morning. And so you want to have that two-way conversation. So it's an open issue about how do you communicate most effectively in social media.
And I would imagine also, as part of this, making sure that you're identifying the correct people in the organization who can carry those types of conversations on with customers.
Yeah, I think you're actually onto something. So everyone is not comfortable in social media settings. Some people just don't get the rhythm and have sort of a natural flow of it. So you have to identify the people who are good. What we found is that you can actually train people to get much better. We generally, people who are good at it, we look for what we call digital natives. And so it's not an age factor because, I have plenty of gray hair and I think I'm okay at it. I don't really know how much hair you have, but I don't know your age. But it's not an age thing. We just find that people are much more natural in social media settings and electronically. But you can give some tests to people and you can do some training. People get a lot better.
Right. Well, Brian, this has been great, and I hope the hot seat wasn't too uncomfortable for you.
It was merely tepid. Thank you very much.
Thank you.